To draw a cube in 45-45, this is all what we need. A horizontal line, a midpoint, and our left and right vanishing points. Obviously, the distance has to be the same. And then from the midpoint, we draw a straight line down. It's very important that this vertical line is also perpendicular to the horizon line. And let me actually for a moment pause and give you a small drawing tip. So when I have to draw additional vertical lines, I do not draw them this way, so towards myself, because my hand moves through my body, my arm touches my torso, which might actually then move my hand, and chances are high it just doesn't look good. If I rotate the page, I can actually draw from the left to the right, and there is no body that blocks my hand or arm movement. Because again, when you draw, you do not draw out of your hand rest. Your hand is kind of stiff. It loosely holds the pen, so you can control pen pressure better. But what really moves is your complete arm and shoulder. So with having this vertical line and my horizon line rotated, I can actually now use my vertical line as a reference to make sure that all other perspective lines I will create are kind of like parallel to this line. And when these lines are parallel to my first vertical line, I can actually be very sure that they all are also perpendicular to the horizon line. Just a little tip about how to draw all vertical lines efficiently so that they are 90 degrees to the horizon line. I would always rotate my page. Also, this way it might look okay. It's in addition a good method from time to time to rotate your page, even upside down, and take a look at all these lines, because what might look okay from this view might not look okay from this view or this view. Think about handwriting. Very easy to read. Rotate the text 180 degrees. It's very difficult to read. You have to focus a lot harder to read it. And then, same like with drawings, you will see flaws inside your lines. Okay, so let's redo all this. And we will start with our first line. So there and there, I define where actually the lowest corner point of my future cube will be, and I can draw now from this point to the vanishing line. A little tip also, while this is Sketchbook Pro, so digital, in real life I would actually rotate my page now for this line and rotate it so purpley more this way. I will rotate it as long as I can comfortably sketch this direction with my line, with my hand. Because essentially what you will realize in sketching, we don't draw in all different directions. It's much quicker and easier to just perfect drawing this line nice and straight, and then we just rotate the page always. Also, I can go from this point to this point, so I kind of like memorize the movement, practice this a little bit, and then I will draw from my object to the vanishing point. However, it is not necessarily important that you hit the line. It is okay when you stop somewhere there. And the main reason for that is when we start from the vanishing point, it's very easy to end somewhere else. I did this on purpose, a little bit crazy. But when we draw from here to the vanishing point and I stop, it's a shorter line. It's easier to draw. And if I memorize via ghosting the direction correctly, chances are higher that this line will at least be correct. in contrast to maybe this line. Also, an added benefit to that is your drawing will be less dense because we're skipping out lines. Okay, so that a little bit about how to draw from where to where. So always from your object to the vanishing point, and then fade out, never from the vanishing point to the object, but you can go between these 2 points. Now we have to decide how deep is our rectangle. And that's actually the beauty of 45-45, because the left side is equal to the right side. So I can decide now how deep this rectangle should be. So from here to there, I draw a horizontal line. And this is 1/2 and this is 1/2. They're perfectly the same. You also see that this point is right at the same height as this point. Okay, so I have to draw my back edges. So there, and then again I would rotate my page, ghost a little bit, and then draw just only really what I need to prevent my drawing getting too dense. There, ghosting, and then a little bit of pressure. Bang, there we are. And if everything is done correctly, at the end, these 2 lines should intersect right actually also where the horizon, the vertical line is, and they do not. So let's see what went wrong here. So there's that point, there's that point. Maybe actually this line's a tick off. So let's do it this way, there, and there. Let's draw it. Okay. While I do this, I would like to let you know about another little tip. The smaller you draw, the easier small arrows will be visually very, very noticeable. And the bigger you draw, so the bigger your object, the less actually it will be likely that you will see a perspective problem. So if you think drawing small because you're afraid will make it easier, you'll be surprised. It's actually the opposite. Drawing small is really difficult. Drawing bigger is a lot easier to get your drawings look correctly. Okay, so now our square is correct. This is actually also a proportional square, so it's perfectly foreshortened, because again, left side and right side are exactly the same, and we can find the depth of the square by simply drawing a horizontal line, and where it touches the left and the right front edge, we have the other corners. So how do we now figure out actually the correct height? And fortunately, because this is a cube in 45-45, we can make use of a small geometrical workaround to kind of establish the correct height. What we have to do first is draw left and right vertical edges. And again, rotate, make sure they're parallel to the other line, which will result these edges to be perpendicular to the horizon line. Now these 2 lines define the left and the right edge, but I have really no idea where, for example, the correct height is. So I could maybe make a small test. Here, I will just extend this line. Then let's go to there and there. Whoops, there. Ding. Make a line. There. And there. And zing. Okay. Now clearly we can see it is perspectively a correct cubical object, but it's not really a proportional square. It's too tall. So how do we now figure this out? So what we can do now, I will actually switch to a different color, is the following. We can pick either corner, left or right, and then try to draw a line that is 45 degrees going this way. If you have trouble guessing how to draw a 45 degree line. Here's a small workaround. Inside this square, draw a smaller square, because when we go from one corner to the other corner, that's 45 degrees. Okay, good. Step 1. Step 2, we take a circle, and from this point, the center, and starting at the opposite point, we draft an arc up. Now this actually should be a nice and good arc. So what we can do is, with a finger, we can quickly put our index finger and thumb onto each point and then transfer the distance, and then we roughly know this point. This is really what we're looking for, because that is actually the point where we have to draw another horizontal line through. So actually I will just, in this case here, use a ruler, so it's a nice clean line and drawing there. And that is actually now the line that defines on the left and the right side the corner points for our top face. So this is now the correct vertical height. And you see that this line is the same as this line. So somewhere in here will be our rectangle that describes the top face. Now to sketch that rectangle, all we have to do is, from the left vanishing point through this point, draw a line till it cuts the midpoint. Let's do the same on the other side. So from this vanishing point through this point. Now we can also measure to see if our drawing is correct, because this line has to intersect this line right along the vertical line, and it does, and a line to the vanishing point, and there we have it. Perfect. Maybe the missing back lines are there, number 1, and here number 2, it goes from there to there. Okay, and now we have created a cube 45, 45, and make sure that it is proportional.